Good afternoon, everyone. To the viewers of our first session on cybersecurity, welcome back. And a big warm welcome, of course, to those who just joined us for this award ceremony in the category Cloud and Infrastructure. And do not forget to log in to our chat and comment. My name is Daniel Aiken. I'm the partner COO of CIONET. I'm very delighted to be your host for today's award ceremony. Now, the heart of these awards is to celebrate exceptional digital leadership. Our mission today is to showcase the brilliance of all the nominees in a way that really inspires you. We want to provide you with the strategic insights, but also with the how-to that will help you to pursue and realize these ambitions within your own organizations. Now, to give a little bit of context, this is indeed the part. This is in fact the second part of a trilogy. We have three parts. It's a three-part journey. Back in December, we kicked off part one, where we explored the applications and architecture and the world of data and AI. And we saw two incredible winners take the stage. Claudio Balbo from Intesa Sanpaolo for applications and architecture, and Rajat Dhawan from Soho House for data and AI. So huge congratulations once again to both of you for setting such a high bar. Now, the journey doesn't end there. In fact, today, of course, we go further with part two. A moment ago, we just finished the award for the cyber security. And I can already tell you that it was won by our Chris Swodzwinski of the Fortis Bank of Polska. So congrats again to Chris. We move on now to cloud and infrastructure. And as the third part, then we will finalize on the 25th of March in London for our in real life event, the part three Grand Gala evening. There we will not only crown the European CIO of the year 2026, but will bring all the winners and nominees of all the categories together for an exclusive invitation-only celebration. So let us know if you would like to be invited at that celebration. Now, a program of this scale would not be possible, of course, without the right partner. So my thanks go to Splunk, who supported this journey. And later today, we will be joined by Lauren Wilson, the field CTO and strategic advisor at Splunk, for a 10-minute reflection on the incredible achievements of our nominees, the achievements that he will share with you in a moment. But before we do that, I would like to call on screen my co-host of today, Niels Vonstedt, who is in fact, hi, Niels. Niels is the academic research fellow at the MIT Center for Information Systems Research, known as MIT CISA. And Niels is the president of our jury today. Welcome, Niels.
Thank you, Daniel. I am so thrilled. I loved the earlier session, and I'm really looking forward to this one. As you know, we started these events to really showcase amazing digital leadership and what that consists of. We wanted to provide role models for current digital leaders and inspire the next generation of digital leaders. When we started this, as you'll recall, we were really focused on chief information officers and chief digital officers, that area of leadership. Today, given that most organizations need digital to realize their strategic ambitions, it's now upon the whole C-suite of an organization to really step up as digital leaders. And so I'm thrilled that these nominees that we'll get to meet in this session, they are all role models for the entire C-suite of organizations.
Yes, Niels, I'm going to ask you, or to put you to work immediately, and ask you, first, maybe you could explain how the voting process was set up. I think that's important to highlight.
Yeah, definitely. And again, especially coming from MIT, we really emphasize the rigor of this. And so first, I would really underscore that this process is a transparent and very structured and rigorous process. We asked nominees to describe their accomplishments along 4 key dimensions: business impact, stakeholder value, innovation and capabilities, and then personal leadership. So 4 key areas that really demonstrate exceptional digital leadership. The voting process then, so each nominee would write up their overview of accomplishments along those 4. And then the voting process had 3 key stages. First, the nominees were pulled together from 7 CIONET countries. So Poland, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, the UK, Italy, France, and Spain. All the nominees first received a predefined questionnaire that they had to complete and really guide them through those 4 aspects. And then that detailed overview of accomplishments was then shared with the jury for their assessment, which they would give scores to the different overviews. Next, you conducted deep dive interviews, with each of the nominees. I can't recommend enough to everyone looking for role models in digital leadership to view these interviews. They are rich with details about how to describe great leadership, and most important, how to realize it, the how of what they did, not simply what they did. So I strongly recommend viewing these podcasts. Third was the jury. So our jury is comprised of leading European digital figures, former CIONET Award winners, myself, to bring some of the academic rigor into this. And we all worked together to independently assess these portfolios. And we then brought together the rankings, added them up, and we came up with finalists and a winner.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Niels. It's very clear explanation. Thank you for doing that. Now, let's start the second session of today, cloud and infrastructure. And to assure, and Niels already said it, the awards were judged with the highest level of rigor and industry expertise. And for doing that, we assembled a truly world-class jury. You can see on the slides we are showing now the members of this famous jury. Of course, Niels already presented himself. But apart from Niels, it was Geert Goethals, the CIO of Sibelga, Thomas Singh-Bartel, the CIO of AKD Media Education, Matt Jovanovic, the Global Cloud Strategy Director of Mapfre, Mario Nobile, the General Director Ajit, Ilko van Leeuwen, the General Director ICTU, and Jaroslav Wojcinski, the Head of Information Technology Benefit Systems. And last but not least, Ketran, the Regional CIO, the Head of IT Europe DP World. So I'm very glad also that 2 of these jury members have joined us today to support Niels during the work that they will perform later on during this event. Thank you both for taking that time and putting the energy in that. Now, let's move on to the main event. It's time to take a closer look at the leaders and the projects that have made the shortlist. And here are the nominees for the Cloud and Infrastructure Award. So Stefan Latuski, Stefan, I have to say, German pronunciation, Stefan Latuski, CIO and CEO of IT System House, the Federal Employment Agency in Germany. Laura Garrido, the CTO of Ferrovial, Paul Mukherjee, the CTO, Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs in the UK, Alexander Gavronsky, the head of IT infrastructure of the mBank, and last but not least, Francesco Ciuccarelli, the Chief Innovation and Technology Officer of Alpitur. Now, dear nominees, it is time now for your 8 minutes of glory. Each of you will have first a 4-minute window to walk us through your accomplishments, and then another 4 minutes where we go into a live Q&A with the members of our jury. Now, I call upon the scene the first nominee. Okay, it's Stefan Latuski. Hello, Stefan. The CIO of the Federal Employment Agency in Germany. Now, Stefan brought modern agility to massive institution, if I may say, of more than 100,000 employees by building the nation's first federal-level multi-cloud platform. This venture successfully balanced cutting-edge technologies with the high digital sovereignty requirements that were required by its stakeholders. Stefan, can you tell us your story in 4 minutes?
I will try. Thanks a lot, Daniel. So when I joined the federal agency back in 2021, I had the wonderful possibility during my onboarding phase that I could look into nearly every single business process. And what became immediately clear there is, while most of the customer-facing services already have been digitized, or the back-end processes, from applying for a certain service until a citizen is going to be paid, were mostly proceeded manually and supported by IT systems that have been more than 20 years old. So it became clear that transforming the business here was way more than replacing a single application. It was more about rebuilding the entire business process landscape and the entire IT landscape. And there have been like 3 factors which underlined the urgency. So there were rising citizen expectations on the one hand, especially for 24/7 digital services. There were rising employee demands for modern tools, especially in terms of communication and collaboration. And the whole agency was under tremendous pressure when it comes to a demographic issue. As a matter of fact, literally like 35% of our workforce is going to go into its well-deserved retirement within the next years. So in order to become Europe's most digital public sector agency, we therefore had to digitize and automate literally like every single process. And in order to do so, we had to make use of modern cloud technologies, because without that, the journey clearly would have failed. So the plan was to enable Germany's first public sector multi-cloud broker platform that is giving us access to the 3 different hyperscalers, but also as well to 4 European/German cloud providers, and therefore allowing us to stay flexible while balancing digital sovereignty. In order to achieve that, we initiated a joint cloud broker tender together with the German pension fund and the accident insurance organization, which kind of like have similar prerequisites and also face similar challenges that we. And by doing so, we joined forces and set out to create the foundation for modernizing, scaling, and making the IT landscapes of the 3 German social security institutions really innovation ready. But believe me, turning that plan into reality, however, was far away from being straightforward. We faced enormous challenges, due to complex regulations like GDPR or the German Social Code book. There was a lot of pushback and reluctance from colleagues, but also from the different authorities. And we had to coordinate multiple federal institutions at that point of time. And, overcoming those hurdles required quite a lot of courage, persistence, and a calculated risk-taking approach. And there have been quite a lot of people, who doubted that would be ever successful. And in order to convince them, one of the first major steps was to, run a proof of concept for a new social service application. And we have been able to deliver that in only like 9 weeks. And that was way faster than the typical 6 to 12 months development phase. So that became an immediate aha moment, if you want so. And building on that, we really established that multi-cloud broker platform in a record time, meaning in under 12 months, which now lays the groundwork for a scalable, flexible IT, and we can leverage all the different, cloud native solutions. And achieving all of this was really, a significant success, not only for us as the employment agency, but for the entire public sector in Germany as a benchmark for innovation, collaboration, and speed. And the results are really kind of tangible. So downtime of our applications decreased by more than 25%, and we have been able to deliver new applications in less than 50% of the time frame. So freeing up resources for innovation, which enables us now really to make use of certain different AI use cases. We already implemented more than 30 of them. And last but not least, I have to say, with that cloud infrastructure in place, we now can focus really on agentic and AI initiatives in order to introduce AI agents to automate all of our business processes. So our mission remains kind of clear. The Federal Employment Agency is not just providing social security in Germany. We are really on our way to become Europe's most digital public sector organization. And the cloud transformation I recently mentioned was the first but most important step in order to do so. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. It's quite an impressive achievement, not only what you did, but also to tell it in 4 minutes time. So thank you for doing that, Stefan. Niels and his co-jury members are impatient to ask some questions. I can see that.
Thank you, Stefan. It's really such a great story. In your overview, you have this compelling description of bold leadership. What would you say, and what would you highlight are some of the critical success factors for fostering bold leadership? How did you get leaders to sustain communication and increase the visibility of decision making? That's not easy, and you got them to learn quickly from setbacks. Can you explain this bold leadership and how you succeeded in developing that?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that was like two major critical success factors. Number one is, all about clarity and transparency. So in a public sector environment like ours, there's a lot of different stakeholders. There's a lot of authorities. There's a lot of people who want to talk about those kind of things, and you have to provide as much transparency and as much clarity on what you're doing there and what you're trying to achieve there as anyhow possible. So try to communicate. So that's really important. And then, as I said, there's a lot of pushbacks. There's a lot of reluctance, especially Germany's public sector is an environment where people are looking for security, safety, stability, all that kind of stuff. So, and if you're trying to achieve there something completely new, there's a lot of people which are hell of reluctant and which are really pushing back on that. And, what I believe is that you might need to listen to them, but you never have to give up. You always have to keep your aims and your targets in focus, and you never have to give up. And that is what I was providing to my team, and that was when I was trying to constantly support them and telling them that yes, we're gonna have like a damn hard time, and there's a lot of pushback, and it's something which never has happened in the public sector in Germany before. But let's still, keep focus. Let's try it. Let's not give up, irrespectively of what people are saying that this is never going to happen or whatever.
Yeah, keep on going. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stefan, and thanks also to members of our jury. I'm sure we will see you back in a couple of minutes. Thank you. So it's time now to move on to our next nominee, Laura Garrido, the CTO of Ferrovial. And Ferrovial is a global leader in sustainable infrastructure and mobility. Laura was tasked with modernizing global data centers while meeting strict SOX requirements. She spearheaded a unified cloud platform and a data center modernization in just 14 months. So providing a secure and solid foundation for the company's growth. So Laura, tell us your secret in 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Well, yes, Ferrovial, as you said, is an infrastructure company, and it has innovation as one of its core values. So the innovation, the digitalization of the infrastructure sector really make clear for all of us that we needed to build a digital foundation in order to support the new business needs. In parallel with these, we were starting to adopt public cloud, but the cloud adoption was, I could say, very mature. We had a not homogeneous government model, and the level of adoption was different depending on the different businesses, even geographies. So having these both things coincide in the same time, we decided to launch a program with two big types of initiatives. First of all, we had the operational efficiency initiatives. So what we mainly did was we review our data center infrastructures in our workplace and support services in order to gain operational efficiency and to obtain savings that could fund the digital foundation platforms that were needed to support the business innovation. And on the digital foundation part, what we did, we built a cloud platform that was able to govern and to establish a global governance model for all our cloud environments. And also we develop a developer experience platform that would enable product teams to be faster and more autonomous. It's been a big of a journey. What we discovered since the beginning was that adoption could not be led by imposing policies, so we needed to convince the different teams, and the different teams are from many business units and many geographies. So what we decided was to found what we call a federated model. A federated model is a model that adapts to the different business needs and to the different types of activities, whether we're supporting product teams or we're supporting innovation teams. As I said, what we were really looking at was to increase adoption, or to really enhance adoption in the different teams. Regarding the initiatives that were launched inside the program, we have on the operational efficiency initiatives, what we did first of all was to resize and renew and transform our data centers. We had undergone some very big business carve-outs, and we also had been on the journey to cloud journey for a while. So more or less 50% of our applications had gone to the cloud. So we needed to resize data centers, and we ended up achieving 30% savings from that resizing. We also redefined the global digital and support, digital workplace and support model. So we achieved also 25% savings with that, and we also had a homogeneous model across the globe. And then on the digital platforms foundation, what we did is we developed what we call a federated cloud governance model, which is with a very strong focus on automation and on a global set of services. So across services, we call them, that are core infrastructure services that we provide to the product teams, so that we are sure that our cloud infrastructure is governed and that they are as autonomous as possible. And then we also develop what we call the developer experience framework, which is a set of artifacts and templates that help the developers to be autonomous and to build products following our best practices and our guidelines, and also making sure that they are compliant to the policies. Also, we have developed a developer portal in order to enhance or to improve developers' autonomy, so that they are as independent as possible. And that has led to really to very big improvement in onboarding times for product teams.
Okay, thank you, Laura. I'll pass the microphone now to our friends Niels, Matten, Ilko. I'm sure you have some questions for Laura as well.
Sure, Ilko, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes. Laura, I think we were very impressed with all the initiatives you took. And I have actually two questions about it. The first question is, can you elaborate on your personal leadership style that you used to make this happen? Because it was quite an accomplishment.
Okay, so well, I think that what I've really what I've put into this program is especially to keep the team focused to the end goal, right? It was very clear for us that we had to build industrialized digital foundations, and automation was at the core of all of our decisions, automation and security, of course. And so for me, my main mission was to keep the team on board with the midterm vision while they had their day-to-day operations, right? So one was that. Then the second thing was to identify change agents. I think that you don't need to have everybody on board, or it's nearly impossible to have everybody on board. If you can, it's ideal, but it doesn't happen. So you have to really identify these change agents that have the energy to push forward the initiatives. And then the third thing I would say is to deliver value early. So one of my focus is, let's not build a really big thing for 2 years. Just try to start building small things that would prove the value of what we were building early enough, and that would really do help adoption between developed product teams or innovation teams or business units. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura. And I think maybe building upon that one, because you were doing 4 projects in parallel. Can you quickly, looking at time as well, elaborate a little bit on how you managed to have those 4 projects in parallel from a, let's say, portfolio point of view?
Okay, so well, I mean, I have we had different teams, okay, managing each one of the initiatives. And also, I mean, the only way is to have a very good organization support, right? So it's very easy to get support for the initiatives that have savings, and that really do give you credit towards the organization in terms of you're doing something that makes sense, and you're not just trying to have a really great technology per technology, right? So I think it was a balance of having stakeholder support, of course, as always, and having very focused teams in each of the initiatives.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. And also thank you, Ilko, for the relevant questions. I indeed have to keep an eye on the time as well. So I immediately then progress to our next nominee, who is Paul Mukherjee, the CTO of DEFRA, the UK Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Now, he was faced with rising costs, legacy debt. That's why he launched a second-generation cloud strategy, a bold venture that transformed fragmented technology into a unified platform and saving the department millions of British pounds. Paul, we are very eager to hear your story.
Thank you, Daniel. So just by way of context, what I'm going to describe here is the work of many colleagues. DEFRA, the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, is a large government department, about 30,000 employees. We have about 1,000 people in our digital function, so it's a reasonable size organization. Organizationally, our cloud journey started many years back during EU exit, but we've got to, when I arrived 2 years ago, the cloud journey had somewhat stalled. We were still deploying to the cloud, but we were deploying workloads somewhat randomly to the cloud based on vendor preferences, individual preferences, rather than looking at it strategically. And the services we were using in the cloud were being chosen relatively randomly. So that meant that our costs were spiraling, and we were really using the cloud as an expensive data center. So when I arrived, I joined DEFRA from the private sector. I could see that we had lots of technical expertise around cloud technology, but different parts of the organization were pulling in different directions, and this really reflected different underlying cultures. And I could see this was not a sustainable position for us to be in. So I set out to create a new cloud strategy, which kind of built on the great things we'd already done, but really helped to remove some of the things we weren't doing so well. I led structured discussions with colleagues across various teams, and the purpose was really to reform long-standing tensions between some of these teams. And I did that by basing the discussions on common objectives and some shared principles like speed, reliability, and accountability. Now, these conversations weren't without their challenges. As I say, there were some strong differences in culture, and in particular, one part of the organization was very experienced and capable around Agile and DevOps, and another part of the organization had a strong background and very strong processes around ITIL. So they were coming at some of these challenges from very different ends of the scale. And there were historic tensions as a result of that. And there was also part of the organization was thinking in terms of we're interested in applications, and another part of the organization was thinking we manage infrastructure. Whereas my perspective coming in was in the cloud world, that distinction is somewhat artificial. So what we've done is we've implemented what we call a second generation cloud strategy, which is really looking at building on our two primary hypervisor partners, but being very intelligent in our workload placement. As part of that, for our highly critical business services, we're actually going to explore hosting individual applications on a multi-cloud basis, so that if there's an outage with a particular hyperscaler, we will still retain service with the other hyperscaler. We've built a self-service developer platform, which has enabled us to deliver much more quickly. And we are adopting an application portfolio management approach to help us to manage our tech debt in both our cloud estate and our legacy data centers. So the net result of this has been, in terms of our overall cloud spend, we're now forecasting a 24% saving year on year for the next 3 years. So that translates into many millions of pounds, which at a time when economically as a nation, we need to save every penny we can. This has been extremely valuable. We've also been able to improve our risk posture by managing our tech debt, and by adopting the self-service developer platform, we've reduced time to value. It's been a really interesting journey for me, and helped me to develop a lot of my personal leadership. Really, this has not been a technology challenge, this has been a people challenge. So overcoming the perceived divide between the two kind of wings, Agile, DevOps versus ITIL, has been a challenge. Changing the thinking around workload placement and being more intelligent with that's been a governance challenge, and changing behaviors. And then our whole approach to tech debt and influencing my peers and my leadership, that tech debt isn't something we have to live with and deal with reactively. We can actually be proactive in managing our tech debt. It's a choice we make, and therefore it's a choice we make in terms of our security posture. Has been a challenge, but that message has landed. So I think with that, I'd be happy to open up for any questions you may have.
All right. Yes, and you can see they're already there. We brought them already on screen, our friends Mats, Niels, and Ilko. So who's going to ask the question? I don't know, Niels.
Yeah, that would be me. Okay. First of all, Paul, thank you for the presentation. It was really eye-opening, and we're facing the same challenge, like the two realities: the cloud, where everything's kind of automated, and ETL processes, where everything is really rigid, but kind of works. So I really understand the challenge, because we're like in the same process. One thing I found fascinating is how you identify your internal developers as your customers, and the opinionated paths, or like golden paths that you're following. So that's a very popular framework to follow, but really hard to execute. So I would like to hear a bit more about, how do you measure success? What metrics are you using to stay to make sure that you stay relevant for your users?
I mean, I think I'd work backwards from the outcomes we're delivering. So by having our self-server developer platform, we've reduced our time to value, we've increased velocity, we've made it easier for the developers as well, we've taken out cost. What we've seen is that by building opinionation into the platform, that means that by design, we're automatically complying with our guardrails, which means that the applications we deploy through that route have much greater reliability. So for those applications that we've developed that way, the availability is much better. So our customers our customers frankly don't care how we're doing this, but they're able to see real benefits because we're doing things in this way. So it's been an upside for all parties concerned.
Okay, all right. Thank you to our dear jury members of the jury, and thank you also, Paul, for answering their questions. So I will now move on to our fourth nominee, Alexander Gawronski, the head of IT infrastructure at mBank, one of Poland's most innovative digital banks. Now challenged by 25 years of legacy, Alexander led a radical venture to make infrastructure as a code the only law, building a custom private cloud that now powers the bank's most advanced AI tools, among other things, of course. Now, Alexander, are you ready to tell us your story in 4 minutes?
Yes, sure is. Hello, Daniel. Thanks for having me. And Daniel, stay focused. I will be teaching some of the Japanese words today, so stay focused.
Okay, I will.
So hello world, as I may just begin. So our story is, well, it may ring a bell for many people that are viewing us right now. So a lot of legacy. We are dealing with 25 years of burden that we have throughout the years. As my friend Krzysiek, who is running our network division, is saying, it's like running a little bit of nightmare. So this was like the standard starting point for the transformation. And our business was and is moving very fast. mBank is one of the key innovative bank in this part of Europe, and it was the first internet-only bank in Europe. So we need to keep up with the business, and we saw that our infrastructure and IT operation just wasn't keeping up with the story. So that was the trigger that we want to go with the full automation and changing the mindset that we have in ourselves. So this, let's say, our bold decision was to rebuild it from the ground up, and we adopted infrastructure as a code only strategy, and we just implemented this one. So we built our own private cloud based on Kubernetes and combined it with a dual vendor public cloud model. So we are using both Azure and GCP. And the goal was simple: to have flexibility, security, and independence. And we wanted, and we achieved, and to have the freedom to run any workload anywhere without vendor locking. Well, of course, technology is only half of the story. The real challenge was more cultural. So convincing operations engineer people to fix that they were used to fix everything manually. So to do it now, to express themselves and their ownership in code, not by manual work. And just I will draw something personal from my experience. So as you probably see, in the past I was young and beautiful. Now I'm only beautiful. So in my past I can bring up some experience. I was practicing karate, and one of the styles is called the Goju-ryu style. That was the one that I was practicing. Goju means hard soft. So it's about balancing empathy with discipline, and this is exactly how we try to and we led the transformation. So on the Ju soft side, I can say that we are investing in people and flexibility. We created space for learning, mentoring, and the safe experimentation for our people. So that was the soft part. And going more to the hard side, so Go side, it was about creation and guarding the standard that it's must have for all IT infrastructure operations. So like you can have like Kime, focus on the power of the moment. So the team were given autonomy, but they must own their own uptime, cost, and technical depth. And the most important thing, I think, that is like Uke, so block. So we selected and provided the function that you cannot reach production if the change is not defined in code. So this is our, let's say, block, and this is the standard that we provided for the for our infrastructure. And well, to give you just some numbers and the outcomes. So now we are currently running over 100,000 containers in our private cloud on more than 25,000 vCPU, and we are gathering 4 million metrics from our private cloud. And we gain the flexibility of the choice whether we are going to be in public or private. And well, I can add on that I was trying to support this transformation as much as possible by getting hands-on and supporting my team and the whole transformation by myself. Well, at the end, I can say that our cloud transformation is not a project. It's just a path to full automation and getting complete resilience. And my final statement is like in karate. Well, mastery is not a destination, it's a discipline. So this is our story. So thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, thank you, Alex. In fact, you just increased my Japanese vocabulary by 300%, I think, something like that, to go through. Okay, so thank you for these enlightenments. So the jury is already present with its questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Alec. I liked also your personal story, how to the soft and the hard side. So I like it very much. On the other side, you also have, of course, the business side. Could you elaborate on how does the business day-to-day benefited from this?
Well, so the most important thing is that we provided the new foundation for the infrastructure, IT, and this goes to the business itself. So from a nowadays perspective, we just finished 2 major core banking transformations. So we left the legacy world and we moved to open environment. And this is a good foundation for the development of business. And something that I can provide like a real real benefit for our business is that as of today, we have running like 5 live applications based on AI that they are supporting different business functions within the organization. So providing the new cloud foundation that we can run the AI or whether in our data centers or in a public cloud, and we can provide the computing within like, let's say, hours or days, but not months or years like it was previously. So as of today, my business is running 5 AI applications. And as far as I know, we are like top leader in this front, well, comparing to top tier banks in Poland. This is like our, let's say, direct competition that we are working with, well, competing with them.
Thank you, Alec. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to the members of the jury, and thanks a lot to Alexander for your presentation and for responding to the questions, of course. Thanks. We'll see each other later on, of course. Now it's time to introduce the last, but certainly not least, nominee of this session, Francesco Ciuccarelli, the CITO at Alpitur World. Now, Alpitur World is Italy's leading tourism group. And Francesco took on the high-stakes task of decommissioning a massive 1967, if I'm right, mainframe during the pandemic. So his successful move to cloud-native architecture ensured they could thrive the moment global travel returned. So, Francesco, tell us all about your venture.
Good afternoon, Daniel. Yes, and really thank you for having me today. I believe that our entire cloud transformation journey can be summarized in 2 words, fragility and anti-fragility. When I first joined Alpitur in 2018, you were mentioning Alpitur is the Italian leading integrated tourist group. I found a company which was very, very strong in terms of leadership, had bold ambitions. We were targeting 2.5 billion in revenues and also an IPO in sight. But underneath that strength, there was really a technological fragility. That's why in the early 2019 we experienced major degradations in online services, a lot of instability in our sales and back office systems, and it became clear that our legacy backbone was no longer not resilient enough to support those bold ambitions. We were somehow building the future on foundations, on legacy foundations that really belong to the past, to the glorious past, and this was definitely our wake-up call. That's why it was really the trigger of our transformation. We launched in 2020 our program, which was called Innova, and the aim was to really rebuild those foundations. But you know them. 2 months after the kickoff, the COVID hit, and it hit very, very hard. Revenue collapsed, tourism stopped globally. And in that moment, the fragility was not only technological, was not anymore technological, it was really economic and emotional. And probably the safest and most rational choice would have been to freeze investments. Instead, we accelerated. We had a strong belief that if demand returned, and we were confident it would return more digital than ever. If we survived, we really wanted to emerge stronger from this crisis, and that's what we did with courage, but also with really the involvement of all the stakeholders. We went through a progressive approach. We started from the digital channels, and actually the first website that we launched in 2021 was increasing conversion rates by 70% within 3 months. So it really paid off in a very, very short time. Then we built, after that, we built structural capabilities, a modern data platform, and event-driven architecture for our core applications, DevOps, platform ops, and also a unified control tower, which was connecting and still connecting IT performances and business KPIs. So with these new foundations, we gained scalability, visibility, speed in time to market, and that gives us the confidence to take on the most complex and risky legacy initiative. So this was really the last part of our cloud journey, cloud transformation, and it had to do with modernizing the mainframe. A mainframe that was running our core business for decades in a very stable way, and probably this was the most the boldest move we made ever. The results, as I said, they are coming. We have 99.98 uptime, tripled B2C direct sales, 20% reduction in support escalations, 3 million now annual OPEX saving, and most important, technology is not anymore a constraint as it was at the beginning. It's really a leverage, a strategic asset on which we are building the future. Maybe the last point is really from a personal point of view. What I'm most proud is that it was never, since the beginning, an IT journey. It was really a business IT co-ownership. And this is how we managed all the transformation, because at the end, the anti-fragility that we reached now is not individual, is collective. So if fragility was what we started from, anti-fragility is what we are becoming, and I think this is the best result we can tell to the market right now.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, Francesco. It's certainly a story that shows bravery as well on the technological side as the business side in the middle of a pandemic. But I pass the microphone now to our jury members for their additional questions, of course.
Okay, I'll take this one. Hey, Francesco, first of all, thank you for your presentation. Daniel is right. It shows bravery. Modernizing mainframe is is a very challenging, so to call it. And I like what you mentioned with the metrics and KPIs. When you modernize something as legacy as that, the metrics are sometimes insane. Something that you used to do for like 2 weeks, it takes like 20 minutes. So it's like a 99.999 something improval. One thing I found interesting in your paper, most of all, was that you measured and tracked internal NPS. And that's something you didn't mention it now, but I found it really curious. I wanted to know how do you use that metric? How do you, what helps you to improve it?
Yeah, we introduced these metrics as IET when we started dealing with LLMs and with our new conversational systems. We started from the internal users, because what we wanted to achieve is that the business would recommend Alpi GPT to the other functions, also to overcome somehow the resistance and the scaring about AI. And we were measuring together the early signals. We use it also to prioritize the optimization. It was like a discipline. Then we transferred this KPI to the outside. So we started monitoring the NPS of the external customers that were served by the internal users. They were booking users, so at the telephone. And this was to verify that the value was really transferred to the outside. So a higher NPS was associated to the usage of the generative AI system. And it was a result that we measured together. So it really helped improving and co-creating those new agents.
Okay. So thanks a lot. This, in fact, concludes, first of all, of course, I want to thank you, Francesco, and thank Matt, Ilko, and Niels, of course, for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. So this concludes our presentations. We have just heard 5 remarkable stories that highlight, in fact, exactly how high the stakes are or have become for cloud and infrastructure. Now, to help us put these projects into a little bit of a broader perspective, I'm now joined by Lauren Wilson, who is the Field CTO and Strategy Advisor at Splunk. Lauren, you've been listening closely to these 5 different stories. I would love to get at your thoughts on the trends you're seeing and how do they reflect these achievements in a wider industry landscape. Now, let's maybe start with Francesco. He managed to bridge the gap between mission-critical legacy systems and an event-driven cloud nature future. In your view, is the primary goal for 2026 still migration, or have we entered a phase where the real competitive edge lies seamlessly integrating legacy reliability with cloud speed? So what is your opinion about that balance or that shift?
Yeah, and we've seen this kind of cloud journey. We saw quite a lot of lift and shift when cloud transformation started to be first utilized by organizations, seeing the real benefits of moving to cloud. But I think we've kind of come full circle now, particularly in areas that I see. We kind of been prioritizing hybrid approaches, getting the best bits of cloud, but also really valuing some things around on-premises infrastructure, particularly when it comes to things like data sovereignty and increasing control. So we're seeing that shift back now to organizations taking a much more holistic view of what their infrastructure challenges are, and therefore what hybrid solution suits their business drivers.
Yeah. Stefan Latuski pioneered in a multi-cloud broker to ensure institutional autonomy across massive social organizations. Do you see this as definitive end of all in single cloud area for the public sector? Does this suggest that for a business to thrive today, vendor lock-in is now a strategic risk that must be architected out of the business entirely?
Yeah, and we talk about vendor lock-in a lot, and it is a real strategic choice. Like sometimes there's nothing wrong with vendor lock-in when you're aligned with a vendor on long-term goals, and you believe in the strategy and the direction in which they're going, because there is a cost of managing multiple vendors and changing in between them. And we've heard all the challenges that people have faced around cloud and infrastructure in their organizations, and you don't want to be making such big decisions every year, every 2 years when contract cycles come around. So there is value in kind of going with one vendor, but also, again, it's got to be a strategic choice which aligns with the business and what risks they care about most.
Yeah. Okay. I take Laura as an example. Laura's venture, in fact, what makes it exceptional, her cloud scaling, is that she did so while implementing automated policies that assign real-time compliance scores to every single initiative. Now, in your reflection, does this prove that the old trade-off between speed and control is finally dead? Does it illustrate that for a modern global business, to thrive, infrastructure must be built so that governance is somewhere invisible, it's embedded?
And I think that's where we need to start realizing that building compliance in from the start is definitely the right way to go. It becomes part of the default fabric in which we're architecting all organizations. It's not this awkward, forgotten about add-on that compliance comes along and adds control at the end. And we're seeing organizations start that approach, but we're a long way to go with having compliance really embedded in our processes. Controls should be seen as helping us go faster, but they're still in a lot of cases seen as a blocker. Again, cultural shifts, we mentioned a lot today. We need to help organizations see security and controls as a necessity for the business to have real secure deployment, and something that helps them manage and meet their overall business objectives through regulation and good hygiene.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I go to Paul. He reframed technical debt as a business as usual discipline rather than a one-off project. In your experience, is this ongoing lifecycle management the secret sauce, let's say, that prevents a thriving company from becoming a stagnant one to stand still?
Yeah, and he's right. We all know that we kind of see organizations and teams and projects excitedly pursue the new and the shiny things. Thinking back to building in compliance in the beginning and adding some levels of control and governance at the start is one way in which we don't just forget about it when we've moved on to the next new and shiny project. We need to consider everything from cradle to grave of a project and legacy infrastructure. We can't just do these one-off projects and play catch-up anymore. We've been doing that for a while now. We can't just do that. We need to learn from the kind of uplift we've had to do and build it in when we're building new architectures across the organization.
Yeah, from the very first step, from the conceptual phase on. Okay. Now, I go to my last presentation, and to not mine, but Alexander's last presentation. And he was the first manager that was something that sort of surprised me to obtain the cloud certification, he personally, to drive a total cultural shift. Does this, to your personal feeling, highlight that the success of a digital business depends less on the tooling and more on the personal leadership required to bridge the skills gap?
Yeah, good question. So, we see that technology and tooling is a big part of managing those risks, but a key part of that is, like you say, personal leadership, and what it really comes down to is trust, and that's both trust in the technology, but actually it's the people that are operating and delivering and trying to push forward those changes. We're seeing, like I mentioned earlier, technology professionals becoming more change agents now and having to adopt and bring new technologies across the business, and the way that they do that is through trust and through influence. So it's great to see people getting qualifications and other strings to their bow that make them really trusted by the business when it comes to asking them to get involved in the journey they're going on together. Yeah,
a real role model, in fact. That's sort of the game he played. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Lauren. We went over the questions quite quickly, but I think it highlights and it brings them in a broader context. And I thank you for doing that. It's clear that cloud infrastructure are no longer just back-end concerns, but they have become the very engine of business agility and global scale. So we really appreciate you helping us connect those dots and showing us how these leaders are building the future, in fact. Thanks a lot, Lauren. So again, we are approaching the moment suprême. the moment that we are going to announce the finalists and the winners of the CIONET Awards 2026 in the category Cloud and Infrastructure. I call upon Niels. Can I ask you, how did you experience the selection process?
Well, for me, it's always a privilege, and this was no exception to, again, it's such a privilege to learn from all of the nominees. They were incredibly generous and detailed about what they accomplished, the business value that they created for a variety of stakeholder groups using digital, and then how they went about doing that. So again, I just want to emphasize to everyone, if you're looking for role models, all of these nominees are phenomenally accomplished role models. And in the videos that CIONET did, you can learn so much more about how they did it. So in fact, they're so accomplished that it was very difficult for the jury. I already described the rigorous process, and when we added up the numbers, they were close. Nonetheless, there were finalists and there was a winner. So we should go on to that.
All right. Yeah, sure. So I understand indeed the jury had a very difficult task today. I'm very sorry for you, of course, for having had all the work that you had to do for that. But you narrowed the field down to top 3. And now, in no particular order, the finalists, the 3 finalists for the Cloud and Infrastructure Award are Stefan Latuski, Laura Garrido, and Francesco Ciuccarelli. So to all 3 finalists, huge congratulations. You've been selected from an incredible competitive field of peers, and reaching this stage is already a massive achievement in its own right. But as you know, there can only be one winner today, even at the CIONET Awards. Now, Niels, we know that the final deliberation was incredibly tough. You already told us. Without giving away the name just yet, the name of the winner, could you tell us what it was? What was it specific that this specific leaders project? What was it that ultimately captured the jury's vote?
Well, several jury members highlighted the fact that this winner, they were very clear and very compelling about how the capabilities that they built really benefited a variety of stakeholder groups. So, for example, they explained very nicely how they strengthened the autonomy of teams within the organization using these and developing a whole set of shared resources across those teams. And that paradox, I thought, was worked really nicely, how to manage those trade-offs. They also helped benefits and create benefits for the external vendors that they work for. So it was a whole variety of examples that were win-win-win for the organization, for the employees, and for the external vendors.
Okay, thank you for that insight, Niels. It's clear that the decision was based on some truly transformative work, and the moment has arrived. So, for the CIONET Awards 2026, in the category of Cloud and Infrastructure, and the winner is Laura Garrido, the CTO at Ferrovial. So, congratulations, Laura. Congratulations. What an achievement. So, Laura, what does it mean for you personally and for your team, for your organization?
First of all, thank you very much. Thank you, CIONET. Thank you to the jury. And yes, as you said, this is the award for a really excellent team effort. So I really do need to thank my team. They are such a good group of professionals with such a strong focus, being able to work, having the future in mind and keeping their day-to-day work. So yeah, I can only be grateful to them. And also I have to thank Ferrovial for their support and trust in me in all these initiatives. And of course, Dimitris, my boss, for his trust also, and for his continuous challenge that really helped me and all of us grow all the time. So, and of course, CIONET Spain for the nomination. Okay, so I'm really, really grateful for the prize. Thank you very much.
Okay, it was certainly our pleasure, and huge congratulations again. I think you set a new gold standard today, proving that unified cloud and infrastructure strategy is the ultimate engine for global growth. And I know that our entire community of digital leaders is incredibly proud of you. You have enlightened us all with your vision, showing us exactly what the future of leadership looks like. Now, so congratulations again, Laura, with this award. Now, as we arrive at the end of this celebration, I have one final request for everyone watching. Let's not just admire these winners. Let's go out and rewrite our own scripts so that we can follow in their footsteps and lead by example. And with that, we are at the end of these CIONET Awards 2026. I want to thank Splunk for their partnership, Niels and the other jury members for the excellent work that you did. Also, Niels, for your help in the organization of this award, for your wise advice and for your support. You were a great president of the jury, that's for sure. To Anna, Alicia, and also Hendrik and the rest of my colleagues at CIONET for the collaboration. And a final massive congratulations, of course, to Laura and to our phenomenal nominees for taking the time to share what you have learned. And you were, I think, genuine role models. So a big thank you to you all, dear audience, current and future CIONET community members. Make sure to watch all the podcast interviews and make sure to book already in your agenda the grand finale of the CIONET Awards in London, March 25th. Introduce your request today and get your golden ticket for this exclusive gala evening. So thank you all for watching. See you at one of our next CIONET events. Thanks.
For the last 15 years, I've been on a quest to discover the DNA of the most successful digital leaders in the world. What makes them tick, what's in their minds and in their hearts. We are sharing deep insights from our world-class CIOs so that you get inspired, can learn and reach your full potential as a digital leader. If you are an ambitious technology executive, then I invite you to join CIONET. Join our community so that you too can realize your ambition.